Kamusta mga brother ko, DJ Taroy TV, bumabati sa inyo sa magandang umaga. Napaka-inspiration ng kwento ni Bryant na ating Black Mamba. At kung bago ka sa aking channel, don't forget to like, share it, and subscribe.
Physical therapy, okay? Physical therapy, piece by piece by piece by piece by piece, start running, back on the court. And so I broke things down into sections and said, okay, I'm gonna focus on resting right now. This is it. I'm gonna focus on moving my toes and then walking. And then, so you look at every challenge at every step, and that's how you're able to be resilient and come back from these things.
Because, you know, for your field in sports, injuries often happen, right? And to come back. But, you know, for most everyday people, it's something that they can't fathom because they don't have that type of resistance that they have to face, right? So how do they come back from it? Because sometimes people fail in their fields and their jobs or at school, young kids, you know, you don't have a good test score, you don't make the basketball team, or, you know, they have these disappointments. What is your advice to young kids to, you know, to face this adversity? How do you persevere?
Well, like if you...
Because you have that chemical makeup to fight through it.
Yeah.
Not all kids do.
But every kid, every person has the ability to put one foot in front of the other.
One step at a time.
Right? So like if you're saying, okay, I'm going to climb Mount Everest, you're at the bottom of the mountain and you look up and you're going, I'm not going to climb Mount Everest, right? But if you break it down into sections and you just one foot in front of the other, one step at a time, next thing you know, you're at the top of the mountain.
So the map, the plan is to set short-term goals.
Yeah,
and to get there, A to B, B to C, C to D.
Coming back from my Achilles, I came back from the Achilles, and I was fine. And then the next year, I fractured my knee. Right? It's like, oh, here we go again. Come back from that next year, tear my shoulder. Here we go again. Right? But if I looked at those things in totality, it'd be depressing. But if I look at it as just the facts, this is it happened. Can't do anything about it. It happened. Now what are you gonna do? One step at a time.
Achilles, knee, shoulder, any step of the way you said, screw it, forget it, done, no more.
No.
Never.
No. Well, no. Why? Right? Because, you know, as time goes on, I'm sitting there 70, 80 years old, and I'm going to be wondering if I could have come back from this injury. I don't want to wonder. I want to find out.
We got to get to that 60-point game.
I want to see, man.
We got to get to that game.
Yeah. If the critics are out there saying he's done, he'll never come back, well, maybe you're right, maybe you're not, but let's find out.
We got to get there. We got to get there. Last one, to be fearless. You know, that's something that I think every young adult, young kids, they face their fears, right? What does that mean to be fearless? Why is that such an important part of the Mamba mentality?
Well, I mean, because I think the greatest fear that we face is ourselves. Actually, you know, I think it's not anything that's external or anything that's superficial. I think the greatest fear you face is yourself, because, you know, we all have dreams, and it's very scary sometimes to accept the dream that you have, and it's scarier still to say, okay, I want that. It's scary because you're afraid that if you put your heart and soul into it and you fail, then how are you going to feel about yourself, right? So being fearless means putting yourself out there and going for it, no matter what. Go for it. Not for anybody else, but for yourself.
When you got to the league, you were 18. Did you have any fears before getting there, or when you got there right away?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I had fears that everybody was going to be right. I made a poor choice, poor decision.
Jump from high school to the NBA.
And I wasn't going to amount to anything. So that was always in the back of my mind, for sure.
And then, so out of these 5 pillars, which one do you think comes first? Be passionate, being fearless, relentless, resilient, or they just come together?
This funny thing is, like, we created these separate pillars, but the reality is it's all one thing, you know, because it all comes from within. It all comes from within us. We all experience these things at different stages and different points, different times. The key, I feel, is just to be aware of those moments as they occur. Right? You're aware of a certain fear or a certain obstacle or challenge, right? You're just aware of those things, and then from there you can navigate through them. But I look at them all as one connecting thing.
Because I think being fearless, this last one sticks out in my mind a lot because, being in Asia, Asian kids, a lot of times they're a little bit more boxed in thought, in mentality, as opposed to Western kids. Western kids, a lot of the family, the environment, ever since a young age in school, it's preaching independence. Speak your thoughts, be creative, independent. A lot of that, it's also reiterated by teachers, principals, mothers and fathers and aunts and uncles and coaches, is to bring name to yourself and to be independent, to be out there and go on your own. But in Asia, a lot of the cultures, whether it's Chinese, Japanese, Korean, it's, don't go out there and do crazy things. Don't go out of your comfort zone. Make your family proud. Don't bring other people attention. Just do your thing, do it well, but don't bring attention. And I think a lot of kids are fearful of going out of this box, right? Is there advice for these kids? Because a lot of times it's a cultural difference.
Sure.
Right? How do they put themselves out there when?
I think, listen, it's very simple. You have to dance beautifully in the box that you are comfortable dancing in, right? So like everybody's box is different. My box was to be extremely ambitious within the sport of basketball. Your box is different than mine, right? Every kid here has their own box, but it doesn't mean that your box isn't as beautiful as mine, right? Everybody has their own. It's your job to try to perfect it and make it as beautiful of a canvas as you can make it. And if you have done that, then you have lived a successful life. You have lived with Mamba mentality, right? So it doesn't mean you have to go out here and do all of these crazy things. I'll have to be like this person or that person. No, what are you comfortable being? What is it that you want to do with your life? And once you have that, then you try to live it to the best of your ability.
So, growing up in Italy and then moving on to Philadelphia and then to LA, obviously you talk about this box, right? So is that box constantly changing? Are you trying to get out of your comfort zone even when you were, first year in the NBA and then 10th year in the NBA and then even this year? Does that box, this metaphorical box you talk about, does that change?
No, I never looked at it as like I'm just gonna, try something completely crazy or like just go out of my box sort of thing. I just looked at it as I want to be one of the best basketball players who have ever played. That's the end goal. Okay, how do I get there? How do I get there? And every decision I made in my life was centered around the process of helping me eventually get there. You know what I'm saying? So I had that purpose. And once I had that purpose, every decision that I made was centered around that purpose.
You think you got there? Looking back upon it now, 2 decades in the NBA, high school, Italy to high school in Philadelphia to the NBA. You spent your whole career with one organization. To me, is your biggest accomplishment, to be with one team.
Thank you.
You look back upon it now. When you had your goals as a kid, you're 5 years old, you wanted to be in the NBA. And then when you're at Lower Merion in Philadelphia, and those dreams started to become, hey, I'm going to get there, right? And then you're in the NBA, you set goals for yourself. You talk about all the time. When you're young in the NBA, you set personal achievement goals. I'm going to win a game. I'm going to win a championship. I'm going to win the MVP. I'm going to win this. I'm going to win that. And then later on, you changed because you said, I'm just going to get better. And if I'm going to get a better left hand, I'm going to have a better three-pointer. I'm going to have a better free throw. Those other personal achievements come naturally. Now you're done. Played your final game, 60 points. You dropped it on Utah. Mamba out, right?
Yeah.
You look back upon it now. Where do you see yourself? Did you do everything you wanted to do? Did you become the best basketball player you could ever become?
Well,
Did you become the best
It's
GOAT?
It's weird. Like my vision of what my goal is changed drastically as I got older. So like as a kid, I said I want to be the best ever, right? And now you go through your life and everything you do is try to be the best ever, be the best ever, be the best ever. And as you get older, you start understanding that those things are very superficial things, right? And everybody has a different opinion about it. No matter what you do, I can win 20 championships. There's always an opinion on who's the best. Everybody has different opinions. And so I started really kind of understanding maybe that's not the important thing. Maybe the important thing is to, how do we as a team grow? How do I help my teammates be better? So that was the first change for me. And then as I got older still, it became more about how are you inspiring others, right, to find themselves? That is the ultimate championship. So, won 5 championships. That's great. Another team won a championship this year. Team's going to win a championship next year. Those things come and they go. But what stays is how do you use your passion and use that to inspire somebody else to create their passion, and then how can they pass that on to the next person? That is true success. So my goals have changed drastically from the time I was 6 years old to the time I was 17 to the time I was 25, and now sitting here at 37.
So now you left the game of basketball. We're here in Shanghai. We're going to end our talk today because we've gone a little bit past our limit, but I think everybody is very happy to be here, and I think they learned a lot about the Mamba mentality, right? What's next, for you?
Well, I mean, it's always teaching the game, right? Teaching the game through various ways. We do camps and clinics, we do those things, but also through storytelling, right? How can you share stories with the rest of the world that challenges them to look internally and to learn things like process and learn how to navigate the sense of self and all these things? How can you infuse that into entertainment in a way that pushes our culture and our society forward? Those are the questions that I'm really, really intrigued by, and that's what we'll focus on.
Ladies and gentlemen, one of the greatest of all time, Kobe Bryant.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.